Today, on the Early Morning Show, why most of us date and mate the wrong people. Let's cue the rooster and get this show started.
Every time I need that shit, devil make another.
Hey man, if you got something that you believe in and you believe that you can do it and nobody else do, just go for it. It's your life.
My life is moving fast, I gotta slow it down. Yeah, now I got it, they all come around. But when I ain't have it, they nowhere to be found. Yeah, I had to stick with the ones who stay down. And now a lot of people say I changed on them, because I'm whipping in the range on them. I don't think I'm acting different, I just found out that these folks ain't in my interest. And you ain't got a lot of kick it. I messed around and pulled a whole foe up. Banging zero, I roll up. I don't do it, boy, you gotta grow up.
Good morning. This morning on the Early Morning Show, we try to answer the question, why most of us date and mate the wrong people. But first, in the man's bartender, we're making Hawaiian pineapple beer. In the man's kitchen, we're making tuna casserole, not like your mom did. You should see it. So stick around. And now, why most of us date and mate the wrong people in life. There are a numerous number of adults who wish they could suddenly trade out the one they have for the one they really wanted. In fact, most people will stay with a bad relationship far longer than they ever will a good one. The question then becomes, why not get the one we always wanted on the first pick? In dating, the average person is either damned if they do or damned if they don't choose the right mate the first time. I was recently asked on another show, why don't people choose who they really want over settling for the person that drives them crazy? But my answer then, as now, is because our choices in a mate have more to do with where we came from in our childhood rather than where we are going in our future. Now, that is why we choose someone within a split second, but we wish over a lifetime that we could have thrown them back. So, once we understand the factors that lead our intimate choices, we can better manage our happiness quotient and the outcomes of any relationship we engage in. In this video, I'll be addressing many characteristics of your individuality as compared to the individuals you choose. In essence, a motivated person chooses an unmotivated person. A positive, outgoing person is attracted to a negative, inward person. An alpha person attracted to a beta person, and so on. For there are several lasting drawbacks to choosing the wrong person, such as lasting emotional damage, financial damage, physical damage, and even worse. You've seen it. You've seen it in YouTube videos where the car's being damaged, house being burned down, person's being killed. So oftentimes when these people walk away from us, they leave our sense of self-esteem in the toilet, and us wondering what we did wrong to make them leave. But that's the wrong thinking. The first thing you need to do is understand that you have analyzed someone else's problems as your own. Instead of asking what it was wrong you did, ask the question, what is inherently wrong with a person who would walk away from someone who loves them, someone who cares about them? If this is the case, there is nothing short of imprisoning them that would make them remain with you, and these are the signs of an unhealthy relationship any day of the week you care to name, any day. There is one thing for someone to walk away from you when you are torn up from the floor up. I could understand that. But another altogether when you are decent, you have your shit together, and you care for them. Secondly, learn to carry one standard for your life when it comes to what you really want and what you will tolerate. Most people who tolerate the absolute worst in a relationship would not dare tolerate the same from their birth families, their kin, themselves, or their friends. But somehow we suspend all of that cautious knowledge to let a person in who would be willing to see us starving, penniless, and in the streets homeless. Most of the people who allow this type of abuse from their mates, subtly or overtly, are usually people who do not respect themselves internally. Now, notice I did not say that you did not appear to like yourself externally. For there are many people in society who walk around looking as if they have everything together, but are in actuality falling apart just beneath the surface. You can always tell a successful person who does not respect themselves, because the habits and the disrespect their mate does reflect upon their internal feelings of themselves. If you date or live with a person who does not respect you, it is because you have drawn them into your life based upon what you feel about your inside body and not about your outside body. A person could attain a career, mind you, where they make a king's ransom once a week, but still settle for a person who is not worth the price of a king-size burger at McDonald's. Why is this, you might ask? I believe it's because this person is fully aware what they are worth financially with their career, but they are in the dark and with knowing that their life is priceless enough to not link it with people who are in overdraft with their respect for other people, and especially them. They are bankrupt when it comes to the way they treat people. Now, thirdly, understand that your sex organ is not attached to your logic center. It's not attached to the logic center of the brain. In fact, once we are aroused, we turn off that logic center to engage in sex. In essence, we become cave people anytime we are attracted to people or have sex with people or engage in long-term relationships without the least bit of caution. When your sexuality is turned on and your brain is turned off, you would actually have sex with a psychotic person that under normal circumstances you would avoid at all cost. Any day of the week, walking down any street. If you saw somebody insane, you wouldn't deal with them. But you take somebody who's attractive, you don't know they're insane, you have sex with them. Now, this is why a person can have great sex with someone and then awake their reasoning mind the next morning and ask themselves, why did I do that? When we engage our thinking brains in our everyday life, we turn away from danger with the slightest prompting when we know danger's coming. But if we are infatuated or in love with someone who gives us 14 warning bells to run away from where we stay, we just sit there and we take it. We try to improve their negative traits. Hey, maybe I can help this person out. Now, finally, what I would like to tell you to do in recovering your choosing and then losing from a bad relationship is to get for yourself what you sought from the relationship that you just left behind. If you look at all of your relationships since grade school, you will notice that most of these people had the same characteristic traits. It mattered not that you grew older, but that you stayed with what attracted you to the first person. I can tell you from experience of counseling for 3 decades that most people are attracted to someone of an opposite nature of themselves. I'm not talking about ones who are attracted to the same. An outgoing person may be attracted to a wallflower. A humble person may be attracted to a haughty person, and so on. But what you will notice in each one of these examples is that the nature they are drawn to is not only what they are not, but what they are missing. So the person who refuses to speak up for themselves gets attracted to a loudmouth that speaks their mind and stands up for themselves. What would have been much better than choosing a person who has a gregarious personality is to change your personality to be more gregarious. But if you have a loud-mouthed personality and you are attracted to a soft-spoken person, it means that you know you need to rein in your vocalization. But instead, you reached out for someone outside of you who had those traits instead of taking them on for yourself. This is a dangerous combination and not changing, because in most cases, people who choose the opposite spend their entire lives trying to change the opposite person into a clone of themselves. They seek to change them into something that they don't like within themselves. In other cases, if that person refuses to change, they simply leave. Now, to get to the other part that I promised about choosing somebody that you mate with. Now, that's a whole new different territory on why we choose somebody that we will mate with but not we would live with. But people ask the question, why after the dating does the living or the marriage turn wrong? And it's simple. Most people choose people to mate, date, or marry based upon the fetish that they had as a child. So at some point in childhood, you develop a fetish, whether it was somebody who was strong like your father, weak like your mother, an outgoing person, an inward person. Those combinations designed with the body style that you like, curvy, straight, whatever it was. that became your fetish when you're a young person. So you grow up, and what do? You seek this person out in the crowd as a fetish. Other persons that you know, they don't even like your choices. That's your choice, your fetish. So what you try to do is you take that from a date or one night stand to a one life stand, and it doesn't work out because a fetish screw or a fetish date does not a lifetime make. So you gotta make the difference between somebody you want to choose for yourself and somebody you're just choosing to sleep with. Tell us what you think about the video. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Stick around because we're coming up with next. The Man's Bartender. Time to get your drink on. We have a pineapple beer. It's an Hawaiian pineapple beer. Something I made up myself a while back. It's a great drink. You gotta try it. Don't before you get a chance to try it. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Because I'm whipping.
It's 5 o'clock on a planet somewhere, and we're about to get our drink on. Welcome to the Man's Bartender. Today on the Man's Bartender, we're making Hawaiian pineapple beer. Stick around. Hey guys, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the Man's Bartender. You ready to get your drink on? Come on. Today we're gonna do a pineapple beer. What I call a Hawaiian pineapple beer. You're gonna need some ingredients. You're gonna need a can of pineapples, the whole pineapples. You're gonna use a beer mug. You're gonna take about 4 of the pineapples and put them at the bottom of the beer mug. Now the juice is not in that. Just 4 pineapples that's stacked. When you're finished, you could eat those. Okay, so I have a regular beer mug and I have a regular large glass. We're gonna use a Keystone Light beer. We're gonna use Pinnacle vodka. We're gonna use some regular whole milk. If you got stomach problems, you can always do 2%, right? We're gonna save the pineapple juice from that can of pineapples. We're gonna use that too. Now, one of the main ingredients we're gonna use is this Fresh Success. It's a tropical pineapple smoothie. Now, those you need. They make it like milk, like a McDonald's shake, so you need that. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put about 2 ounces of that Pinnacle vodka on those pineapples. This won't go into the barrel shaker this time. So you want to season those pineapples way before the beer hits it. Alright. Now they're going to be pickled just right. Next thing I want to do, we want to go ahead and now the beer is going to be last, so don't worry about that. We're going to go ahead and add some of the pineapple juice to fill it up almost halfway. That'll just about do it. Then you want to add to that about almost a cup of milk. And finally, we're going to go ahead and open that packet and add that in there too. Pineapple. Okay, see that powder? Alright, now you know what time it is, right? Time to get your shaker. Do it about a minute. Make sure you hold it firmly so it does not burst and you're wearing pineapple everywhere. Remember, you can shake it this way, you can use the palm of your hand, as long as you make sure that the ice is going from one end to the other. You'll start here to thicken up. Alright, so now we're ready. 2 glasses. We got the Keystone beer. Now remember, if you pour it straight in, it makes that jug-a-lug thing. But if you turn any beer sideways, Look at that foamy head on there. Just what I was looking for. Okay, you see we got a little bit over 60% of the glass. And now the coup de grace. Just a little bit more, shaking that up because we want that to be right into the middle of that. Right down to the circle of the pineapples. Ready? All right. You want to pour that until the foam comes to the top, no higher. Otherwise, you're going to be cleaning up some milk. Shake it around a little bit more, you get some more. And that is almost turned into a nice ice cream right in the foam mixture. And what other part did is sunk right to the bottom. You see how it's activating those pineapples? Can't stop pouring. Can't stop pouring. You want the last bit out, just like a drunk. I gotta get the last bit out. Come on, Jesus, give me the last bit of that pineapple up out of there. All right, so beyond ridiculousness, as always to you guys, go out and drink it. You know what the story is. Stop staying in the house, just get COVID. Cheers. You ain't never taste light till you taste light. We'll be back in just a minute. Remember, the Man's Kitchen's coming up next. Don't go nowhere. Hi. God, it's good. Come on. I hope to see you back next time on The Man's Bartender. Join me each week, and we're going to be making some great drinks, some crazy drinks, and stuff that you can prepare for your friends at a party where it looks like you've been a bartender for a long time. Thank you for watching M&M. Today, on The Man's Kitchen, when you're on a budget and you need to make a quick meal, we're making tuna casserole with egg noodles. Not boring like when you were a kid. We're spicing up a little bit. Come join us. You'll love it. What's up, guys? And welcome to The Man's Kitchen. Today, we're doing spicy tuna casserole. Another dish out of the Great Depression, but right now it looks like we live in a Great Depression with this COVID thing, right? So if your mother made it when you was a kid, it gives you flashbacks. There's something different if you put a couple of different ingredients in there. Let's do it. Come on. Okay, the first thing that you need for a tuna casserole is you're gonna need noodles. So I have already went to pre-boil and drain about a bag of noodles here. And that is roughly about 4 cups of noodles. This is 4 cups of noodles. Okay? So 4 cups of noodles, and they are completely done. Now, I may not need all of those, but look at that. These are egg yolk noodles, and they are broad noodles. So you're looking for this when you're making the tuna casserole. Not the cute elbow. It's your choice. Sometimes people do that. All right, to that ingredients, we're going to add about a cup of buttermilk. So we got a cup of buttermilk in there. And it looks like it's red, doesn't it? The reason being is you have about a tablespoon of hot sauce in that. So that's a cup of buttermilk. We've got a can of mushroom soup. 1 can of mushroom soup. So you can do Campbell's, you can do any kind of company, it doesn't make a difference. Mushroom soup, depends on your flavor. To that we're gonna add 2 cans of tuna. Okay? That's 2 cans of tuna drained. So whether you want to do StarKist or another company, Bumblebee, it doesn't matter to me. Alright? On top of that, when we mix all that together, we're gonna put about 2 cups of crunched barbecue potato chips. Always in tuna casserole there is a crust, and that, my friend, is gonna make the crust. You could do regular chips or you could do barbecue. In this case, we're gonna do barbecue, but that's not the only crust. On top of that, we're gonna add some breadcrumbs. So right there you have about a half a cup of breadcrumbs mixed with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. So the tuna casserole will go into the oven for 20 minutes with everything on it. After the 20 minutes is up, we're going to take it out. We're going to put those breadcrumbs on top, and then we're going to cook it for an additional 5 minutes. Now, I've already preset the oven to 400 degrees. 400 degrees. You need that when you're doing this because the dish is all but done. That's just going to go ahead and cauterize into one particular smooth piece of dinner. Now, to that, we want to add about a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. Let's go up one more. Let's have 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. So let's go ahead and mix. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour that buttermilk in there. Now, traditionally in the recipe, you can use just regular milk, but there's a certain thickness and a flavor that buttermilk has that regular milk does not. So we go ahead and mix that salt and pepper together. And in this case, that is sea salt. So it's a little bit thicker. Not that real thick sea salt because you will be eating it with your teeth instead of in the meal. I'll go ahead and put that around in there like that. And to that, we'll go ahead and start to stir it a little bit. Get some lubricant to those noodles. They've been sitting a little bit, even though they're done. So this is the tangy part of the meal by adding the hot sauce into that instead of just the regular plain milk, plain Jane milk. All right, now that we got that, we'll go ahead and add the mushroom soup in, and that's thick. It comes as condensed soup in a can. It's the smallest can you can get. And to make tuna casserole, a lot of people know that it's actually mushroom soup that helps to make tuna casserole. Okay, to that we're gonna add those 2 cans of tuna. Make sure that the tuna is dispersed throughout the entire dish because you don't want a lump of tuna in one place and none someplace else. So you want to play with it like it's a great big mess. You can thin it out, but don't try to chop those noodles. They're broad noodles and they're not supposed to be chopped up into their rice. Alright, so now that we got that ready, like I said, the oven is already preheated to 400 degrees. We can go ahead and begin to put that down in there. Now you could use a casserole dish, which is like a hard dish, microwave and oven safe. Or like me, you could use just a regular aluminum pan. 20 minutes, it's not really going to make a difference because it's already done. The tuna's done, the noodles are done. You just want to marinate it to one particular dish. Alright, so remember you have the can of mushroom soup. You've got about a cup of buttermilk. Now, another thing that we need to have this before I'm finished, and I don't want to forget, you need about a cup of frozen peas, okay? Tuna casserole always has frozen peas in it. Some of them have pimentos. Isn't it funny when you're always cooking something, you can forget something? All right, so the frozen peas, they'll be dispersed in there. And it is 1 whole cup. All right. So I'll just go back a little bit. The one thing about Magica TV, you get everything just as it's being done. We don't do any retakes to this. Whatever you see is as I was filmed. See, that didn't really bother. All right, so we got the peas dispersed in there. There we go. We kind of lay it down. Get rid of any air pockets in there because we don't want it to dry out. Okay, now like I said before, on top of that, we're gonna add the crunched up barbecue potato chips. Just to get a dish of crunch. The moisture in that dish is going to moisten those chips, but it's gonna give it a crust. Like I said, it's a Great Depression dish. So it was something designed for families who didn't have a lot to spend. Like if you're in this COVID environment right now, and the government's playing around with your stimulus check. Now, okay, one more time. Oven set to 400 degrees. 1 can of soup. You got a cup of buttermilk. 1 cup of those frozen peas that I put in last like an idiot. 2 cans of tuna drained. 2 cups of noodles. But in this case, we're using 4 cups. Okay? So we're doing it twice what I'm saying. So 4 cups of noodles. And to that, we're going to use those 4 tablespoons of breadcrumbs with the 2 tablespoons of butter. We use 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and a tablespoon of hot sauce in the buttermilk. Okay, so we're gonna put that in the oven for 20 minutes, and we'll come back. We won't have you stand here and watch it through the magic of television. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, we're back, and the tuna casserole should be ready. Let's get to it. Okay, so the time has went by, the original 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes went by, I pulled the tuna casserole out. I put those breadcrumbs that were saturated in the butter on top of it and sprinkled it. And here we go. Here's Johnny. Okay, so that's looking good. So now what we want to do, get a little wedge out of there. Cut a little piece there. Now, we'll get that out. Creamy. Oh yeah. That's it. You can see it. Alright, let's try your mom's Great Depression spirit tuna casserole. God, that's good. Look at the steam coming off of it. The peas are done. Now that is good. Go out, get some today. Remember, it didn't take long. All the ingredients were really done. Tuna's cooked. Noodles didn't take long. You boil the noodles. You take about 10 minutes on a boil. You drain them. They go in with those sauces that I showed you. The buttermilk, the hot sauce, the cream of mushroom, the peas, the salt, the pepper. On top there's a crust of the chips and the breadcrumbs. You guys stick around. We got some more to show coming up. Right now, I'm gonna polish this off. Be right back in a minute. And welcome to Assault on Manhood. We got another crazy story for you today. During the first week of January, a mother of 3 has been accused of stabbing her newborn son to death with a pair of nail scissors before throwing the body into a trash can container. Anastasia Skoroichenko of southern Ukraine stabbed her newborn baby with a sharpened pair of scissors 22 times just moments after delivering him on her cold balcony. The 30-year-old confessed to the crime during the sentencing phase. She has been sentenced to 2 years in jail for the crime. Imagine, 2 years. 2 years. Skoroichenko reportedly explained her actions by saying the baby was unwanted and that she could not afford it at the time. Now, she negated that a condom, 80 cents, could have saved you all that problem. Skoroichenko, who kept her third pregnancy secret from everyone, including her own children, went into labor at home. She began having contractions at night when her 2 daughters, aged 7 and 4, and their grandmother were sleeping. Not wanting to wake them up, Skoroichenko reportedly went to the balcony, where she crouched over a plastic basin, like a plastic bucket, and gave birth to a healthy boy. Now, this is a boy. She then used her nail scissors to cut the umbilical cord. After that, she pressed her left hand against the newborn's face to prevent him from crying, and repeatedly started stabbing him with the scissors in her right hand. According to the court records, a prosecutor said during the sentencing, the mother inflicted 22 stab and cut wounds on the neck, chest, abdomen, and limbs of the baby. The injuries of varying degrees of severity were inflicted shortly before the child's death. There's no way he could have survived that. Children barely survive natural childbirth. When the boy's body finally went limp, Skoroichenko put him into a plastic bag, tied it up, carried him outside, and threw him into a rubbish container near her apartment block, as if he too were a piece of trash. The following morning, the newborn's mutilated body was spotted by a local female resident who immediately called an ambulance and the police. Skoroichenko confessed to the murder during a police check and was arrested several hours after the corpse was found. You can go from newborn to corpse in less than an hour. Forensics says she gave birth to a healthy, full-term boy who died from horrific injuries following the attack. The woman did not want the baby and believed her third child would worsen her family's financial situation. The mother has not been suffering from any mental disorders or postpartum depression and planned the crime beforehand, examination showed. On January 5th, Anastasia Skoroichenko was charged with premeditated murder of her child. Now, the judges took into account the fact that the mother admitted her guilt, and for this, they softened their decision in the penalty phase. I don't know. What about you? Let us know. Stick around. We'll be right back. But first, always, this next one, we're going to show you Killer Wives. Each week, Killer Wives plays on Sunday. Don't miss it. Here's a preview.
And now, we bring you Killer Wives, Episode 11, Jealousy. These are the actual case facts of Marquita Sutton, who stabbed her husband to death. Isn't trust a bitch? Laurel, Maryland, famous for its location between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., the headquarters for the National Security Agency, and the murder of one Mr. Johnny Sutton III.
Titty Camby on the corner.
Neighbors in the Frostwood Drive community would tell you that from the outside, Johnny and Marquita Sutton appeared to be that happy family. As in most of these cases, from the outside,
I care less about what you think of me and more about what I think of me. Abundance coming easily, I'm tapped into that frequency. What you think of me ain't none of my business. What you think of me ain't none of my. What I spark don't get you lit, so why you give a shit? Talking out your ass, we revoke your membership. Falling off the cliff, hope you niggas get a grip. It's enough to go around if you tune into the sounds. Tapped into the universal laws to get it all. You already have it in you, but you hold it and you stall. We ain't gotta die to see heaven, we can live it. If you want something, gotta be willing to give it. Not for the return, purely for the feeling. Take some time to get a line of structures that we building. Expansion we increase cause we have to. Thank God every day and your mama cause she had you, she really did.